Good day, everyone. This is Patrick from EasyFX Code Trading System, and this is the 1st of April 2023, and this is the weekly technical analysis for the Euro, the cable, and the Aussie dollar for the first week of April. And across these major pairs, all of them were testing resistance levels, and only the cable did the more higher close for the week, but it did also retest recent highs. And the Aussie dollar was unfortunately unable to climb up too much higher and got stuck in a tight range for the week. And the key highlights for last week was basically on inflation, with the US PCE price index coming out slightly lower than expected, and this actually boosted the stock market and at the expense of US dollar, but it did recover somewhat. And as well as for spot gold, where you see that they move funds out and sold off spot gold to move their funds into the stock market. So it was a risk-on mood for yesterday, with the slightly lower reading. So let's take a look at the highlights for next week, and as well as a review of last week's price action. And let's review last week's key news. And the Australian CPI did come out slightly lower than expected, and this could influence the RBA for this coming week's rate decision, but where they are expected to still increase rate by 0.25%, 25 basis points to 3.85. So we'll see if they do continue to raise their cash rate, and whether they forecast slowing inflation. And the last week as well, a number of US minor news also pushed the US dollar lower, with final GDP numbers coming out lower than expected. And then on Friday, the PCE price index also came out lower than expected, and this boosted the stock market in particular. However, the US dollar had already dipped lower from the start of the week, and then it managed to climb back up to recover on Friday. So more of a sell the news and then buy the rumor, and which we'll see in the DXY. And this coming week, we have focused mainly on the NFP on Friday. And before that, there's also some US ISM manufacturing and services in particular on Wednesday to look out for. Of course, we mentioned the RBA that will impact Aussie dollar, and which is already sitting in a fairly tight range and just waiting for next week's rate decision. And then on Friday, there's the non-farm payroll report on the jobs, where it's estimated jobs being added to be 235,000, and previous month it was higher than expected. It was over 300K. So we'll see whether the jobs market is still strong. If it is strong, then that could be a worry for the market, as then there's this could also influence the Fed to continue further tightening with another rate hike. And after that, after next week, there's also the CPI figure coming up. So those will continue to factor in the Fed's consideration. And on Friday, which is a Good Friday for some countries, are observing the holiday in the Eurozone, UK, and in Australia. So there could be a lack of liquidity on Friday. So do watch out if there's high volatility on the Friday's report. All right, let's move back to the major pairs. Let's start with the Euro, where it started climbing from the start of the week and targeted the recent high at the 78 pip retracement of this swing down, and caused a rejection here on the Friday. So before the PCE price index came out, which was actually should be a negative news for the US dollar, but the US dollar was already weakened from the start of the week. So this is the buy the news and then sell the rumor type of pattern. And if we take a look on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that this resistance was tested 3 times with a triple top and then retraced back lower, back to the this is the 62 pip retracement from this low. So let's see whether this week it's still going to be a barrier with the non-farm payroll coming up, and this is still support at the 107 and as well as the 38 pip retracement. So maybe I'll switch it around to a retracement so that it's easier to read. We'll switch it back higher if continues to fall, but if it continues higher, then it will be an extension higher. All right, so we'll see if this resistance will hold, and there could be also an interim support at the 50 pip, but the next interim support will be at the 107, and together with this daily 55 climbing up as well. For now, the 105 is fairly safe. It's the next major support level. All right, let's compare this with the US dollar index, the DXY, see whether it's also an inverse correlation with the euro. And here's the DXY, where right from the start of the week on the Monday, it's already turning bearish and trying to retest the key support level, but it didn't quite reach the thick area at the 786 retracement. And on Friday, it already started to recover back above the 102. And if we take a look on the forward time frame, you can see that right from the start of the week, it started already dipping lower to 102, pulling back slightly and dipping lower again before recovering at the end of the week, even before the US PCE price index. So basically they priced in the drop first and then recovered back up after the news. Let's move the support level over here. So that's still a key support. Resistance has still safe, has not been tested last week at 103. And above that is the significant resistance close to the 104. So let's see whether this is going to be a recovery for the US dollar. Let's draw this rising trend line here. And on the weekly time frame, it closed as a spinning top with a small bearish body and well within the previous week's range. And this coming week will be the next trigger to break out from this harami, or at least try to push back up to the highs of the harami of the previous week's range. Okay, but for now, it's managed to hang on and survive another significant drop and finding support from below the 102 and recovering back up higher. Right, we'll compare this with the dollar against yen later on as well. So let's move back to the other major pairs to compare. Let's continue with the cable. And the cable was more bullish than the euro relatively, and it did break out from this swing high right at the start of the week and continued higher till Friday, where it did retest these highs from the previous from 2 months ago, and quickly rejected on the Friday before the US PCE price index news. So it already buy the rumor and sold off on the news. And if we compare that with the look at the 4-hour time frame, you can see that it was climbing all the way. And on the weekly time frame, it closed more bullish than the euro with a inverted hammer. So there could be some continuation, at least to perhaps retest the 125. It could try to hit 125 before pulling back, but it climbed up above the weekly 55 EMA to make a fairly bullish close for the week. So at the moment, it's hard to say whether it's able to break out higher above this swing high and test the 125. So that's still a significant resistance zone. The interim support is at the confluence of the 55 and the 200 EMA here. And the key support is at the 120 round figure. And let's move this interim resistance now. It's been taken out. So let's see how much retracement or pullback there could be at the start of the week, and whether it's going to dip lower below this previous swing high before it attempts to perhaps test the resistance again. And there's no major news from the UK economy, so all exposed to the non-farm payroll jobs report. Okay, let's move on to dollar, the Aussie dollar. And the key news is the upcoming RBA rate decision on Tuesday, with also the non-farm payroll on the Friday. So it was not able to break out above the 50 pip. Key resistance is still at 68, as well as the 62 pip retracement of this move, of this swing move up, and the daily 200 is coming down to that level as well. Support is below at 66 and near the 38 pip. If we take a look on a weekly time frame, it could not test the previous week's high and close as a harami for the week, and it's potentially going to break out this week. And let's see if we can show the consolidation here that's it's coiling up for breakout. And let's move this channel away and at the upper trend line, where it looks like it's a symmetrical triangle. Okay. All right, so let's see how the RBA may impact and trigger some price action to either weaken or break out higher to strengthen the Aussie dollar. But it's moving, narrowing into the corner here of the triangle where it's trying to break out, and there's the daily 55 EMA above that as well. So there's a lot of headwinds on the higher level, so could be potential likelihood of further weakness. Can extend this over to see whether that's providing support along with the lower trend line. Okay, so critical week for the US dollar again, with the non-farm payroll jobs report coming up, and for the Aussie dollar with the RBA rate decision, which could trigger some volatile moves here. So do take care and have a safe week and a good trading week, and cheers for now.